Hello, today we present to you Carbon Niwas by Thwisha and I. The project revolves around the climate emergency that we face globally, where there are articles, discussions, talks, and summits on the vulnerability of air that we breathe. We are specifically focusing on carbon. Here is a timeline that shows the specific issue. With time, we have been digging out the terrestrial carbon and using it for construction and mobility. This results into an increase in the atmospheric carbon levels. Carbon is an important component of our atmosphere as it maintains a livable temperature and an increase in carbon would mean an increase in the global temperature.
Carbon sequestration is currently taking place at industrial scales using turbines. The goal of the project is to domesticate carbon capture so that anyone can understand and adopt it. As a result, we explore a new architectural language that is both functional and can be used as a building aesthetic to align with the objective. Previously, we intervened on Eastern Development Zone on the Governor's Island to build an infrastructure that sequesters atmospheric carbon by installing techniques that capture the carbon and then later convert them into carbon concrete blocks, thus expanding upon the possibility of a new building material. Further, we use the blocks to build an evolving pixelated carbon landscape. Carbon Niwas houses the idea of sequestering carbon at a human level and driving the climate literacy program into the next phase. It houses the possibility of capturing the carbon in simplest way, making it possible to include it into the building code.
Interaction was one of the primary aspects of the proposal, and the prototype is envisioned to flow into different scales and regions through architecture, landscape, and interiors, binding the scales together. Here is a short video. The concept revolves around proposing a central core that would flow through spaces and have an interactive cap around it for human engagement. The tectonics of the junction between organic and geometric forms became the driving force of both the architectural level and the prototype level proposal.
This is the system diagram that shows how the Arduino controls the engagement with human as the prototype senses movement. It shows the system and its core and the cap. The following is the assembly diagram of the prototype. The following diagram gives an idea of how interaction induces carbon sequestration, an experiential aspect of the bubbling water sound, and the visual effect. The mixture is of potassium hydroxide and water. As the bubbling starts, the air molecules are pushed into the core where carbon dioxide bonds with KOH. This binding isolates the carbon within the core, reducing the ppm levels of the carbon dioxide within the core. The more people interact, the more carbon is isolated.
The construction has three components: the system, the interactive cap, and the core. There is an extreme contrast between the core and the cap, building the relationship of the core and light. The aim of the textures is essentially to let the core be central to the experience, as it would flow to different levels, blurring the boundaries between the disciplines. The carbon capture is a slow process and requires a more extensive setup to generate effective results. Under the idea to domesticate it, limitations like size and energy make it unreal to carbon capture enough to change the ppm levels of the room. Enclosing the central core allows us to reduce the area of the overall effect, making the change in levels achievable. This is how going forward we envision the ambition of this project. Uh, there are three scales. One is the domestic scale. Another is a more cultural scale where this becomes a built envelope, and the third is a landscape scale, which kind of merges with the uh, design that we proposed last semester. These are a few images of the prototype. Thank you.